Are we live? Right. Welcome to the first episode of the Latitude Design Show. On today's episode, we're going to be going over a question that you may not have even known existed. Okay? So, what's the difference between interior design and renovation? Are they one and the same? Is there no difference? We're about to find out. So, I'm about to hop on my computer here. I'm going to show you exactly what we're talking about. Now, you might not have known that, or you might have thought that they're both the same thing. Now, well, in a way, they actually are. Okay, so if you want to, let me get my pen here. Say you have a house, okay, and you want to do some interior design, right? Sorry. Let's say you have a property that you want to renovate. Okay, wait, I haven't used this whiteboard before. It's a little bit not that great. Okay. So you want to renovate, right? Basically, to renovate, you need interior design, right? So you have a empty property and you want to start adding, like, you want to touch it up, whether it's wallpaper, new painting, totally redo everything. You want to build built-in furniture, some lighting works, some plaster ceilings, and everything to take your space from like this blank skeleton into a house that is exactly the way you imagine. So for you to have renovation, when you say I want to renovate my house, you're already saying you want interior design. Okay, so in that concept right there, there's almost no difference. So when you're going up to a provider and you say I want renovation, it's going to involve interior design, right? Because if you have a property and you want to do a makeover, you're gonna need the technical specifications and the space arrangement of a professional designer to get that done. So usually these things you won't be able to get from a contractor. So what the contractor does is they build the stuff, they construct the stuff, but they can't design it for you, right? You can give them the designs, and if the guy's skilled enough, he might be able to do it according to his craftsmanship. So if that's the case, why do we say renovation and interior design? Here's the major difference and why you need to know the difference. Okay. So right now it's not that big of a deal, but later on when you start approaching providers, you're going to want to be able to know the differences between these terms so that you know what you're signing up for. Okay, now let me get this eraser right here. And actually no, that's correct. So interior design, okay. Renovation is the building part. Interior is the design part. So everything that happens here is what happens on paper. Everything that happens here is what happens on the site. So here's the construction, and here's the planning, I guess you can call it. Okay? So let's just look it up, renovation. And you'll understand why this is important very soon. So here you type in renovation, you get, well, interior design, basically, right? This is why it's so confusing and why you don't know the difference. You look at this, and you type in renovation on Google, but you get interior design, because renovation is just the act of constructing something. So this is renovation, is building and installing and getting all the craftsmen and the drills and all the work. So you have a property like this, and you want it to look like this. Before you can do this part, right, you're gonna have to do the designing part. So the interior design is this phase of the project. Okay, the construction part is the last phase of the project to get you from a bare skeleton to a completed home. So what happens when someone says I want interior design, but I don't want renovation? Okay, well, what does that mean? So, okay, we're never using this whiteboard again because the eraser is really bad and there's no way to make it bigger. just giving you one. No. Okay. Oh, we can just do that. Okay, never mind. So you want ID, but you don't want renovation. What this means is you can actually hire remember how I told you that you need to design before you renovate. So the way renovation works, it's a phase by phase system. So what you'll have first is like the space planning. Okay, you can see that space planning is where you do all the drawings and the furniture layout and basically arranging where goes what. Okay, then second, what you have is the 3D. Okay, 3D renders. Let me see if I can. Nope. Okay, there you go. Now you can see it. 3D renders, and then after that, you have the construction details. Construction details. So, only once you've confirmed 1, 2, and 3 do you go to the renovation part. Okay? This is when you bring in the workers. This is when the knocking and the drilling happens in this phase right here. So when you say I want interior design but not renovation, what you're saying is that I want the space planning, I want the 3D, and I want the detailed drawings. Now some people will stop here. Maybe their contractor can do their own construction drawings based off the 3D. So a 3D image would look something like, okay, this is a real image. This could be, no, this is real. Let me just write interior render. So yeah, so these images are not real. They're actually 3D renders. So this is considered interior design. You want to have someone create the vision for you, but let's say you want to build it yourself, you have your own contractor, you would only hire for interior design. So the only time it makes a difference when you're talking about renovation or interior design is when you approach the provider. But you know, when you're talking to people, if you say I want interior design my house, most likely they're going to assume you want renovation. And if you say I want renovation, most likely people assume the same thing. Nobody thinks twice about it. So it's only a big deal once you approach a provider and knowing that this, because like sometimes we tell people, they'll ask us like what's your price for renovation, or no, can you quote me for interior design? And then we'll give them the quote for interior design all the way to the completion, right, renovation as well. And they'll get scared and they'll run away because they think that we just quoted them 300,000 for interior designing. So the reason we realize there's this weird gap happening is because you have some people who they say they want interior design, but they actually want renovation, and some that they don't want renovation, but then they say they want interior design. So we've had to segment both separately so that for the person who's approaching us, they can understand what are the service phases they're going to be getting. So when you ask someone to quote you for renovation, let's say you asked, what can I get a quote, renovation quote for my property? And let's say I quote you 300,000 for the whole thing. What this 300 includes is this plus the building part, okay? So when you have a renovation quote, it's usually including the first phase. But if you have only a interior design quote, you will not have this part. So your interior design quote might be like maybe 20,000. Okay, depending how big your project is, or how many 3D images or space planning. It depends how many drawings you need and the scope of your project. But let's just assume on average it's 20K. So that's your interior designing fees, and then your renovation is 300,000. But this is the total cost for the project to be done, meaning it includes this 20K. Okay, so again, the renovation part is getting the work done, right? Taking all the designs and putting it all together. And interior design is the designing, the 3D, the design part, right? That's what it's called, before you buy the materials and before you hire the workers and start deconstructing the house. These are the two main differences between them. next time when you're approaching someone as a service provider, you know exactly how to speak in their language, right? And you can clarify to them, hey, maybe I want interior design but not renovation, or I want renovation, uh, the whole deal, the whole package. And one thing you should know is that whatever you're doing for your house, it's all broken down into phases. So remember how I told you that you have the space planning, the 3D, and the last one, which was like the construction drawings. So when you go to the renovation side, you have the, what do you call it, the final quote, the final price of everything. Once you've confirmed the design, only then you can get the final price for all the materials and the project scope, right? You get the final quote, and you get the construction part done, which is the craftsmen and the workers come to your property and do the work. And the last part is managing the project. So the renovation part is inclusive of getting the materials, getting the workers, and managing it all together till you get your end product. So those are the two differences. Now sometimes you can like renovation can also include stuff like hacking down walls, changing flooring, or totally building from scratch. Okay, but overall, these are the two main differences between how we use these terms in the industry and how you can choose which part of the phase you want. So if I was to go back here, where is it? Nope. Okay, it's gone. You can start your project at any phase. Okay, let's say here's the ID phase, and then here's the renovation phase. So let's say you already have a design you got from someone else, and then maybe you like this company's 3D. So you can always be like, can you give me a 3D based on what I did here on this phase, right? Phase number 1. And depending where you are in, whether phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, because at least in general, like the best practices is usually this is all broken down into phases, and you're never pre-committing to something right from the beginning, whereas you pay the 300K for the whole renovation right at phase 1. No, it's usually like staggered. Complete this phase, move on to the second. Complete this phase, move on to the second. This phase, move on to the second. Until you can always pause and stop, or you can move on to a different provider, or you can maybe have someone who does your ID and you give it to another company to do your renovation, or you can do just if you don't need an interior designer, you can always just do the renovation part with your own contractor. So these are the main differences between this. I hope this starter episode was just a good little intro to describe the differences between these two, because we get asked this a lot, and it confuses people a lot. So we thought this would be a very good way to just clear it out there for you guys. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will come back to you soon this week with another live. Feel free to ask any questions, and I'll see you guys on the next one. My name is Amr, and checking out. Goodbye.